Hello, welcome to the second in my series of videos about narcissism. Now, in the first video, I talked about how narcissists are seemingly stuck in childhood, like their emotional development got stuck at perhaps the age of about 3 or 4. In this video, we're going to be looking in more detail at narcissistic behaviour and how that childish mentality plays out in the real world. So, you know how children often seem to live in a world of make-believe. They play little games and they become completely absorbed in this pretend world. Well, narcissists have become stuck in this make-believe world where they're like a princess or a king or a rock star, and they have this genuine sense of entitlement that they should be treated as something different, something unique, something special. They genuinely see themselves as more talented or cleverer or just in some way more entitled to special treatment than so-called ordinary people. They don't see themselves as ordinary at all. They're all special in their own unique way. So narcissists love to be the centre of attention, and they take a great deal of care in their appearance quite often. And as they go through their day, they'll be thinking to themselves, hey, look at me. Aren't I wonderful? Aren't I spectacular? And they'll be looking to create situations where they're the centre of attention. If they are at an event, a function, a birthday party, for example, they may become very jealous of the person whose birthday it is and who's getting all of the attention, and somehow they may try to sabotage the event and try and put more attention on themselves because they can't bear not to be the centre of attention. And you'll also see this very kind of self-centered, it's all about me kind of attitude playing out in the way that they deal with not being treated as something special. You may hear them say, how dare you? How dare you speak to me in that way? I'm absolutely outraged. I'm disgusted that you'd ever say something to me like that. And you may have no idea what has triggered this outburst, but in their mind, for some reason, they're not being accorded the special treatment or privilege that they feel that they're entitled to. Another situation where that rage might be triggered is when you try to hold them accountable for something. Maybe they've made a promise to do something or to pay for something or to be in a particular place at a particular time, and they either let you down or they tell a blatant lie, and so you confront them about it, and their reaction might be rage, or it might be flat out denial, that they will just blatantly lie to you that they I never said that. I didn't say that. No, you must be crazy. You're losing your mind, you are. I never actually said that. Now, this is what's commonly known as gaslighting. Gaslighting means lying to somebody or making up a different version of reality to somebody. You know that you're lying. They know that you're lying, but you're trying to persuade them of your own alternative truth. And that's something that narcissists do basically to get off the hook. If they've made a promise perhaps to pay a bill and then the red bill comes through and you find they haven't paid it and you confront them about it. Why haven't you paid this bill? You said you were going to pay it. No, I didn't say any such thing. Now, they'll try to gaslight their way out of it. But if you've got proof, if you've got recorded or documentary proof that you can show them and say, there you go, there's proof that you did it, then that may trigger their rage. It may trigger some kind of meltdown or more typically, flipping it round and making it your fault somehow. Well, you were supposed to remind me. How am I expected to take care of everything? Let's look at all the times that you've let me down, shall we? And suddenly they turn it round and you're to blame for something. You're to blame for something equally bad or more likely worse, because narcissists will not take accountability, nor will they take responsibility. They don't handle being challenged or confronted very well at all. Now, why is that? It's because you're bursting their bubble. You're trying to tell them, you're trying to suggest to them that they're not this wonderful, fabulous person that everybody loves and everybody admires at all. You're knocking them off their perch and they can't handle it. They hate it. And so that's why they quite frequently will have a meltdown or just completely sidestep any kind of responsibility when challenged. Now, we'd already mentioned that narcissists will try and lie their way or gaslight their way out of any kind of responsibility. And for this reason, it is impossible to pin them down to anything long term or any kind of guarantees about their future conduct. Now, your concerns, your worries may be very real and very sincere, but all they're thinking when you're trying to pin them down to something is, oh God, here we go again, blah, blah, blah. And all they want to do is close the conversation down. They will agree to anything in the moment. Yes, okay, yeah, I do understand. And yes, I promise, I absolutely promise, across my heart and hope to die, that it'll never happen again. I'll never do it again. Now, when those words are coming out of their mouths, they don't actually mean it. They're just trying to close down the conversation so that they can move on, and then any promise that they've made, any guarantee that they've given, it doesn't mean anything. And for this reason, I liken being in a relationship with a narcissist, and that's any kind of relationship. It could be a parental relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be a work colleague, or it could be an intimate relationship. But any kind of interaction with a narcissist is like trying to negotiate with a crocodile. Yeah, if you can imagine the narcissist as a crocodile, and you're trying to have that conversation with the crocodile that's in the lake with its little eyes poking out at the top. And what does the crocodile want to do? The crocodile just sees you as lunch. Yeah, if you get close enough to the crocodile, it wants to grab you by the leg, drag you into the water and eat you up. Yeah. And if you tried to extract a guarantee from the crocodile, yes, you've been a very naughty crocodile. You must stop dragging in animals from the edge of the lake and drowning them and eating them. Yeah, it's not nice. It's very, very bad behavior. And the crocodile looks up to you and says, oh, yes, I'm very sorry. I won't do it again. I really promise this time I won't eat any more animals and I won't try and attack you. Now, please just come back into the water with me. Dare you go back into the water with that crocodile? You know what's going to happen if you go into the water, yeah? And you know that trying to negotiate with a crocodile, trying to change that crocodile and make it not drag animals into the water off the side is pointless. It's fruitless, because the crocodile is always going to be a crocodile. And in the same way, the narcissist is always going to be a narcissist. They're always going to have this inflated concept of self where they're better than everybody else and they're entitled to special treatment. And they don't have to be held accountable for anything. They can't be held responsible for everything because they don't really care, because they believe that they are entitled to behave this way and to get off scot-free. So if you can think of the narcissist in your life as a crocodile, and that any interaction trying to hold them accountable or trying to negotiate with them is pointless, it's fruitless. And what's the best way to deal with a crocodile? Keep your distance, yeah? Do not get within snapping distance of those jaws, because they'll drag you into the water and gobble you up in short order, yeah? And if you have been in an intimate relationship with a narcissist or a parental relationship with a narcissist, you'll know what I'm talking about. That regularly, if you have to have interaction with that person, they will snap on you, and once again you'll get dragged in and you find yourself wrestling in the water with the crocodile and not even really understanding how you got dragged into it in the first place. So there's one way to keep safe from crocodiles, and that is keep your distance, keep away. And there is one way to deal with narcissists: keep your distance, keep away, because they are dangerous. Now, somebody said to me earlier today, do you mean that the narcissist is never going to change? What do you do with therapy for narcissists? And the answer is no. In the vast majority of cases, they are never going to change. And the reason that they can't change is because they don't see any reason to need to change, because it's not their problem. It's not their fault. It's everybody else that's the problem. It's everybody else that's at fault. And the other reason is because being stuck in this childlike emotional state, they lack insight, they lack empathy. And in order to go through therapy, in order to go through a process of change, which, let's face it, that's what therapy is actually for. It's about personal change. And if you've got no insight into who you really are and how the world might perceive you, then that change just isn't going to happen. And for that reason, it's very uncommon for genuine narcissists to succeed with any kind of change, any meaningful kind of change in therapy. They might be able to address the occasional thing, like, for example, they may be challenged on their propensity to rage, you know, get into these regular meltdowns and rages. And I have known a narcissist who managed to rein in that particular behaviour. However, they were still a narcissist at heart and still had all of the other kind of behaviours that went with that particular way of being. So narcissists do sometimes come into therapy because they've got the therapist's undivided attention for a whole hour where they can talk all about themselves. But unfortunately, usually it's a bit of a pointless exercise. The other way that narcissists might come into therapy is via couples therapy. And again, this can quite often be a bit of a pointless exercise, because when you try to highlight any of their shortcomings, or when you're trying to negotiate some kind of change of behaviour with the narcissist, you'll just come up against resistance. You'll come up against reluctance to take any responsibility. They come in with the mindset that it's not their behaviour, it's not their fault, it's their partner that's the, you know, that's the actual cause of all the problems and the one that's making all the fuss, and it's not them, it's not their problem, it's not their fault. Why should they change? The third way that narcissists may come into therapy is to deal with addiction. And that's something that quite often is associated with narcissists, because as a childlike entity, they quite often lack impulse control, and so they can find themselves addicted to alcohol, coke, other drugs, or other kind of behavioural addictions, like, for example, pornography or sex. And so they often don't self-refer. Usually it'll come via a partner or perhaps a parent, a family member, who is concerned about their behaviour, concerned about this lack of control and this, this problematic addiction. But the problem with that is that the narcissist is only going through the motions of the therapy, and they are not genuinely invested in changing their behaviour at all. So they'll come along for the sessions, they'll make all the right noises, but then they just continuing doing the same behaviour in the background, and you don't see any genuine change. And if I've seen that once, I've seen that a dozen times. So the takeaways from this particular video, the most important one is, with a narcissist, if you can think of them as a crocodile, and before you have an interaction with the narcissist, imagine that you're having this conversation with the crocodile, and is it going to achieve anything? Is there any actual purpose to it? Are you expecting them to sincerely and genuinely take it on board and change? Because if that's your hope, then I'm terribly sorry. You're more than likely going to be disappointed. So take care, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video.